Anything But Typical by Nora Raleigh Baskin. This video will include chapters 1 through 4. Chapter 1. Most people like to talk in their own language. They strongly prefer it. They so strongly prefer it that when they go to a foreign country, they just talk louder, maybe slower, because they think they will be better understood. But more than talking in their own language, people like to hear things in a way they are most comfortable, the way they are used to, the way they can most easily relate to, as if that makes it more real. So I will try to tell this story in that way. And I will tell this story in first person. I, not he, me, not him, mine, not his, in a neurotypical way. I will try to tell my story in their language, in your language. I am Jason Blake. And this is what someone would say if they looked at me but could only see and can only hear in their own language. That kid is weird. He's in sped, you know. He blinks his eyes, sometimes one at a time, sometimes both together. They open and close, letting the light in, shutting it out. The world blinks on and off. And he flaps his hands, like when he is excited or just before he is going to say something or when he is thinking. He does that most when he's on the computer or reading a book. When his mind is focused on the words, it separates from his body, and his body becomes a burden, a weight. Wait. Only his fingers don't stand still while they wait. They flap at the ends of his hands and the ends of his wrist. Like insects stuck on a string, stuck in a net. Like maybe they want to fly away. Maybe he does too. In first grade, they put a thick purple rubber band across the bottom of his desk chair, so Jason would have something to jiggle with his feet when he was supposed to be sitting still. In second grade, Matthew Iverson sent around a note saying, "If you think Jason Blank is a retard, sign this." And Matthew got sent to the principal's office, which only made things worse for Jason. In third grade, Jason Blake was diagnosed with ASD, autistic spectrum disorder, but his mother will never use that term. She prefers 3 different letters, NLD, nonverbal learning disorder, or these letters, PDD-NOS, pervasive developmental disorder nonspecific. When letters are put together, they can mean so much, and they can mean nothing at all. From third grade until this year, sixth grade, Jason had a one-on-one aide who followed him around school all day. She weighed 203 pounds. Jason asked her once, and she told him he couldn't miss seeing her. But the thing people see the most is his silence, because some kinds of silence are actually visible. When I write, I can be heard and known, but nobody has to look at me. Nobody has to see me at all. School doesn't always go very well. It is pretty much a matter of time before the first thing of the day will go wrong. But today I've gotten far. It is already third period. Mrs. Hawthorne is absent, and so we are going to the library instead of art class. This is a good sign. You think art class would be one of the easiest classes, but it's not. I mean, it's not that it's hard like math, but it's hard like PE. A lot of space and time, and that is not organized. Anything can go wrong in that kind of space, but not in the library. There are computers in the library, and books, and computers, keyboards and screens and desks that are built inside little compartments so you don't have to look at the person sitting next to you, and they can't look at me. When we get into the library, somebody is already sitting in my seat at the computer, at the one I want. Now I can't breathe. I want to go log on to my storyboard website. I was thinking about it all the way there. I have already had to wait so long. I don't know. Jason, this one is free, the lady says. She puts her hands on my shoulders. This lady is a lady I should know, but her face looks a lot like the other faces I don't know so well, and I group them all together. Her face is pinched, but her eyes are big, round like circles. Her hair doesn't move, like it's stuck in a ball. She belongs in the library or the front office of my dentist's office. But she is here now, so I will assume she is the librarian. I know from experience that she is trying to help me, but it doesn't. I can feel her weight on my shoulders like metal cutting my body right off my head. That is not a good thing. I also know she wants me to look at her. Neurotypicals like it when you look them in the eye. It is supposed to mean you are listening, as if the reverse were true, which it is not. Just because you are not looking at someone does not mean you are not listening. I can listen better when I am not distracted by a person's face. What are their eyes saying? Is that a frown or a smile? Why are they wrinkling their forehead or lifting their cheeks like that? What does that mean? How can you listen to all those words when you have to think about all that stuff? But I know I will get into trouble if I don't look at the lady's eyes. I can force myself. I turn my head, but I will look at her sideways. I know the right words to use. Last year, Jane, my one-on-one, taught me to say, I'm okay just as I am. I'm okay just as I am. She told me I had to say something in this sort of situation. She said that people expect certain things. She said that people will misunderstand me if I don't say something. This is one of the many, many times I need to run through in my mind every time. This is one of the many, many things I need to run through my mind every time. Also, the things my OT, my occupational therapist, has taught me. Look people in the eye when you are talking, even if this makes it harder for you to listen. Talk, even when you have nothing to say. That's what NTs do all the time. Try to ignore everything else around you, even when those things may be very important. If possible, put your head and your body back together and try very hard not to shake or flap or twirl or twitch, even if it makes you feel worse to do this. Don't blink. Don't click your teeth. These are things people don't like. These are things they hear but can't hear. I am okay just as I am, I say. I take a step forward. I want the librarian to take her hands off my shoulders. The weight of her hands is almost unbearable, like the lead apron the dentist put on you when you get an x-ray, a crushing rock while technicians count to 10 and you can't move. Or they will have to do it all over again. Also, I want to stand close, so there will be no confusion that I am next in line. The person at the computers turn around to the sound of my voice. It is a girl. Most girls look the same. I can't tell one from the other. Long hair, earrings, different tone of voice. A girl. I don't know who this girl is or if she already hates me, but chances are she does. The girl doesn't say anything, so I have to look at her face and figure it out. Her eyes are squinched up. Her lips are pressed so tightly they almost disappear. I recognize that she is unhappy or even angry, but I don't know why. You are breathing on me, she says. You're so gross. Gross could mean big or refer to measurement or weight, but in this case, it doesn't. It means she doesn't like me. She is, in fact, repulsed by me, which is how most girls react. My mom tells me not to worry. My mom tells me I will find a girlfriend one day, just like everyone else. I will find someone who sees how special I am. I know no girl will ever like me, no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try. But maybe I am wrong. I hope so. I hope I am wrong and my mother is right, but usually I am right about these things. I was here first, Miss Leno, the girl says. Miss Leno is the librarian's name. Jason here, Miss Leno is saying. Sit here, you can use this computer. But I can't use that computer. I don't want to. I can't. My breathing is too loud inside my ears. I stiffen my body, solidify my weight so she can't move me with her hands. You'd be surprised at how quickly people will try to move you with their hands when they don't get what they want with their words. I wish Jane were here with me right now, and this wouldn't happen. Words don't always work. Jason, hold still. There's no need to get upset. There are plenty of other computers. Miss Leno is trying to shift my weight off my feet, and she's trying to pretend she's not, as if she's just walking with me instead of pushing me, which is what she's doing. Jason, please. But she doesn't mean please. There is no please in anything Miss Leno is asking. She is pulling me. I feel off balance like I'm going to fall. I need to shift my weight back and forth, rock to stabilize. I can feel my chance to use my computer getting further and further away from me. This isn't enough time. There isn't enough time left in the period. I might not get to log on at all, even if the girl does get up. 100 little pieces threaten to come apart. Jason, please calm down, calm down. Miss Leno's voice sounds like a Xerox machine. Sometimes there is nothing to hold me together. Chapter 2. There are some writers who know things and post them on the internet so other writers can learn them. Some of them say that there are only 7 plots in the whole world: man versus nature, man versus man, man versus environment, man versus machine, man versus the supernatural, man versus self, man versus religion. It could be a woman too, but they just say man in order to make it easier for themselves, because they all seem to be able to understand it because they are only speaking in their own language, in an NT language. But I can do that too when I try, very hard. It means man or woman versus nature, man or woman versus man or woman, and so on. Other writers will say there are only 3 plots: happy endings, unhappy endings, and literary plot. That's the kind of ending that is uncertain. There is a whole book called 20 Master Plots, which I happen to own, and the author wrote that he thought there were 39 plots. But really, if you ask me, there is only one kind of plot. One. Stuff happens. That's it. This is what happens next. Come on, Maggie, get up. Give him the computer. You're not even doing anything. Now Aaron Miller is standing behind me. Me, who was behind the girl who was using the computer. Miss Leno behind both of us, still has her hands on my shoulders. If she doesn't let go, I don't know what will happen, but stuff usually always happens. I have known Aaron Miller since kindergarten, from back when I was the same as everyone else. You might not have even picked me out of a crowd. Nobody was very good at anything back then, and a lot of the kids did weird things and didn't know enough to hide them. Charlie Carl wet his pants 7 times that year. Chelsea Gray got caught sneaking into the cubbies and stealing the meat out of all the sandwich boxes she could find. All the sandwiches she could find. Lisa Deschamps picked her nose and ate it during circle time. Now that same girl is running for 6th grade class president. Aaron Miller was my friend in kindergarten. I like to say he still is, but definitely can't. He hasn't come to my house in 5 years. He hasn't invited me to his birthday party since 2nd grade. I am pretty certain I am not on Aaron Miller's buddy list, even though he is on mine. But he is always nice to me, and when I sit at his table at lunch, he will talk to me. He doesn't get angry when I don't talk back the same way. Anyways, you're not supposed to be playing games on the computer, Maggie, Aaron says to the girl. The girl's name is Maggie. What is it your business? The girl, Maggie, says, but she stops typing and looks at Aaron. Everything is my business, Maggie, Aaron says, and you're just being stubborn. You're being mean. Maggie says, I'm not mean. She immediately signs off and closes the window she has open on the screen. Then Maggie takes her fingers off the keyboard and pushes the chair back. It screeches, but I don't move out of the way. I might be mistaken about what she is doing. I'm not. All yours, J-Man, Aaron says. But there are only 23 minutes left in the period. Ow, Maggie says, but I know I didn't do anything that could have hurt her. I am just sitting down. She is just standing up. I just want to say thank you to Aaron, but I need to claim my seat first, just in case someone else comes over and takes my turn from me. That has happened many times before. And then all this work would have been for nothing. I need to open my website because the computers at school are slow, and this will take time. The sooner you can begin something, the sooner it is done. I am logging in. That is very nice of you, Maggie, I hear Miss Leno saying. I am sure Jason appreciates this very much. The storyboard homepage rolls onto the screen bit by bit. from the top down. I had to get special permission to go to this website. My mother had to write a letter, and even the principal, Dr. T, had to approve. And then the librarian, who was not Miss Leno, but the one before her, unblocked this site for me. The school had to validate that all storyboard users are under 17 and that the site is monitored. There is a storyboard site for adults, but that one is completely separate. Now all I need to do is type in my screen name and password, but Miss Leno has not walked away the way she should. She is still standing nearby. Usually she walks around the library asking kids if they need help, or she sits behind her desk and checks out books, or goes into the back room, and I don't know what they do back there, but I wish she would go now. I will focus on my storyboard screen name and password. There are only 22 minutes left in this period, and I need to see if I got a response to my last posting. Miss Leno makes a scratchy sound from her throat while the final graphics for my website start to load on the screen. She has still not walked away. I am trying to remember my list of things a person could want, but doesn't tell you what it is. Sometimes they just want to say something, and they are waiting for you to look at them before they will say it. That is often the case. But Miss Leno was already doing a lot of talking without me looking at her, so that's probably not it. Sometimes people stand around when they are waiting for you to do or say something they think you should do or say. So they just wait, like that's going to help you understand what it is they want you to do or say. It doesn't, and I am sure Jason wants you to think, don't you, Jason, Miss Leno? And I am sure Jason wants you to say thank you. Don't you, Jason, Miss Leno finally gets it out. I want so badly to check my story posting. I am very grateful that Aaron helped me to get on my computer, but now I really want to view my website. I don't understand what Miss Leno wants me to do. I can't say thank you to Aaron. He is not here anymore. I can hear his voice. He's all the way across the room by the card catalog now, and if I get up, I could lose my computer all over again. Does she want me to say thank you to Maggie? Maggie doesn't want me to talk to her. Even Miss Leno must know that. Besides, she didn't want to get up and give me the computer. She didn't want Aaron to not like her. She just didn't want Aaron to not like her. All I need to do is log on and scroll down to my entry. If someone has written me, there will be a number next to my name. All I can do is keep my eyes on the screen. Well, Mr. Blake, showing a little appreciation will go a long way with your fellow classmates, Miss Leno says. Her voice is angry, but she is walking away. Showing. How do you show appreciation? Appreciation is an emotion. It's a feeling. You can't draw a picture of it. Why do people want everyone to act just like they do, talk just like they do, look like they do, act like they do? And if you don't, people make the assumption that you do not feel what they feel, and then they make the assumption that you must not feel anything at all. Chapter 3. Every morning I get up and words pop into my head, usually just before breakfast and right after I brush my teeth, or just as I am brushing my teeth. Sometimes I know what words mean and sometimes I don't. I say it out loud. It could be a hard word or it could be an easy one. This morning, it's confidence. I watch myself in the mirror and I hear the word confluence, and I am not sure what confluence means. I have an idea, but I am not sure. I think it has something to do with coming together, a confluence of ideas. I think I have heard that expression. I say it out loud, confluence. I am looking in the mirror and I am thinking that if I didn't talk and I didn't move, if I held my hands at my sides and stood very straight, I'd look like any other 12-year-old boy. My hair is short and dark, my eyes are nicely formed and light brown in color. My mouth is normal, my lips an even shape, and my skin is good. My teeth are white, my ears don't stick out, and I know they are clean, even though I can't see them. I clean them every day. Confluence, like two rivers coming together. I am like a leaf on a river, riding along the top of the water, not quite floating, not quite drowning. So I can't stop and I can't control the direction I am going. I can feel the water, but I never know which way I am heading. but I might feel lucky this day and avoid the sticks and branches scratching and pulling at me. My dad tells me there is no such thing as luck, good or bad. My dad is the guy who puts the words up on the television while you are watching a basketball game or football game, or sometimes baseball. He sits in a trailer outside the arena or the stadium or the field and watches everything on a screen while he types into the computer. He puts up the score, the names, the stats, and interesting facts that the producers tell him to. So he watches a lot of sports. And he says there is no such thing as luck. Life is what you make of it, my dad says. My mother is a different story. There is an expression, since she herself is not really a story. Being able That is an expression, since she herself is not really a story. Being able to understand abstract expressions like that is a sign of intelligence. IQ tests are filled with them. Like people in the glass house shouldn't throw stones, or a penny saved is a penny earned. Part of the scoring on the test depends on how well you can understand and interpret those sayings. Lots of neurotypicals don't even understand them, but I do. My mother wants to help me. She wants me to be happy, and I think my mother wants to fix me. She wants me to be more like her, even though she doesn't seem so happy all of the time. And if she can't fix me, at least she wants to explain how I got like this. She is looking for a reason to explain me. It could be the mercury in the DPT vaccines, a wayward chromosome, a mutated gene, too much peanut butter eating during the first trimester, not enough oxygen during delivery, not enough peanut butter. Is there such a thing? Smoking during pregnancy, but my mother didn't smoke. Maybe it's air pollution, or the fertilizers in the vegetables, or hormones in the milk, acid rain, global warming. Maybe it's rays coming out of the television or microwave, or maybe it is just me. One of the two responses to my story is from someone who calls themselves Nick79, which I think might be like Nick or even Nikki. But people like to spell things differently online because maybe your real name, the way you spell it, is already taken. My story is about a man. The story I posted on the Storyboard website under the category Miscellaneous, which is where you post anything that is not true fan fiction. All my stories are originals. The majority of the fan fiction stories are continuations or retellings of someone else's story, or even movies or television shows like Harry Potter or Star Wars or CSI, or Pirates of the Caribbean and Gilmore Girls. But my stories are all originals, so they don't get as many hits. My story is about a man. I wrote a story about a man who can't talk because he has a giant tumor growing in his throat. He was born with it, but nobody knows that. So they think he's really stupid and that he doesn't have anything to say. So he lives alone at the edge of the village where he carves fantastic figures out of wood, like little bears juggling and a fish jumping out of the water, sailing through the air, a tiny hummingbird drinking from a flower, and then he carves a little boy for himself to have as a friend, even though, of course, the wooden boy can't talk either. I know I borrowed a little from the Pinocchio idea, and I hope nobody will notice that, but they don't have a Pinocchio category anyway. I clicked to open the first comment on my story. Neek79 writes, "Great story, keep writing." The second comment is from Phoenix Bird, but I decide to wait until I get home from school to open it. It is like saving the last piece of candy from your Halloween bag, which you shouldn't do because it gets hard and sticks to the wrapper, and even if you can pick all of the paper off the slimy candy, when you try to eat it, it hurts and gets caught in your teeth for a really long time. But that's probably not what I really mean, since eating old Halloween candy doesn't sound good at all. Chapter 4. There is no explanation for my little brother Jeremy. There doesn't seem to be a word or label or reason for what he is. He simply is. He is a typical neurotypical, which means he's never had an 8 in school. And when he wants something or doesn't want something, nobody seems to have a problem understanding what it is. And even though he is only 9 years old, he is better than me at figuring out what other people want from him. On the other hand, he is afraid of bananas. And from when he was 2.5 until about last year, Jeremy refused to wear sandals. He would kick and scream until his toes were safe inside a clean pair of socks and solid shoes. But nobody thought too much about that. Some of the weird things he does, my mother says, are modeled behaviors, which is just another way of saying he learned them from me, like his temper. And some of the things Jeremy does that have nothing to do with me get blamed on me anyhow, like how he won't eat any food on his plate that has touched any other food on his plate. So my mother bought these dishes that with separate compartments and said they were for me. But it was always Jeremy who couldn't take a fork full of his potatoes without getting them all over his meat, not me. He does a lot of talking, but that doesn't mean anything because even though it is harder for me to talk than to listen, and even though it is also hard, he does a lot of talking, but that doesn't mean anything because even though it is harder for me to talk than to listen, and even though it is also hard for me to listen, I think it is much harder for NTs to listen than it is to talk. That is something I have observed over the years. Jeremy was born, everyone was afraid I would hurt. When Jeremy was born, everyone was afraid I would hurt him. My mother would carry him down to the basement with her when she did laundry, and she carried him in a little baby seat into the bathroom with her when she took a shower. Maybe she thought I didn't notice, but I did, and whenever they did let me hold him, someone was always right next to me. My grandmother, whose hands shake more than mine, would keep her arm right under the baby, even though I was sitting down and they put him on my lap. My grandmother always shouts at me when she talks, like she thinks I'm hard of hearing, which is completely the opposite. I hear very, very well. My grandmother smells like chemicals and flake flowers. I know my grandmother when I smell her. I don't like to look at her face, but I can tell it's her every time. I don't like her very much. You are so good with your new little brother. I can tell you love him very much, my grandmother said that day. She said each word very slowly and very loudly. That was the first time I really understood what a lie was. I barely knew my little brother. He didn't do anything. I didn't love him. He pooped in his diaper, and then he smelled, and he cried, so I'd have to put my hands over my ears as tight as I could. I knew what love was. It was how I felt sometimes when I was with my mother, the way I would the way I would sometimes feel just my head or sometimes just my toes, and they felt warm. And I felt safe with my mother. I could breathe easily. I knew I didn't love my new little brother, but my daddy told me I would. Soon, he told me, soon Jeremy would be my best friend. He would want to play with me more than anyone else in the world. He would let me share all his toys, and he would laugh when I made a joke. My dad was teaching me some good jokes to tell. Soon meant I had to wait another month until Jeremy could even smile, and another 10 months at least until he would be able to walk. And then he would probably follow me around the house and want to do everything what I was doing, but not yet. All Jeremy did then was cry and poop and take up space in his mother's arms and make it hard for me to breathe. I was looking at the skin at the top of Jeremy's head that you could see because he didn't have any hair. There was a tiny round hole in his skull that had moved in and out, and I wondered how he could do that. My mother said it's called a fontanelle and that all babies have one, but I wasn't sure about that. He moved it up and down, in and out in perfect rhythm. Maybe he was going to be really amazing. I had to wait. Don't you, Jason? Now my grandmother was talking even louder, which I already knew people would do when they thought I wasn't listening. But I was always listening. I just didn't have anything to say. Don't you just love this little baby boy? My mother had told me I needed to answer when that happened. She had a little sign she'd make with her hands. I needed to say something, no matter how hard it was. If someone asks you a question, you are supposed to say something, especially if they ask twice. even though you think they get the hint the first time. I had already learned that if I concentrated on my mouth long enough, I could get the right words to come out, at least one right word, but most people don't wait long enough for the right words, so I opened my mouth. No, I said. You don't mean that. Of course you love your little brother, my grandmother said. I said it again. No. That's when she took my baby brother off my lap.